Good morning, StarCraft fans, and welcome to the DreamHack Open Moscow 2014. I am your host, Richard Lewis, and this event is powered by EIZO, HyperX, Razer, and Monster, and of course, Need for Seat. Be sure to check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/needforseat. And if at any point during this broadcast you want to interact with us, and why wouldn't you, because we're lovely people, you can go on Twitter and use the hashtag DHOpen, and we promise, maybe, that we'll get back to you at some point. So there you go, I've introduced the sponsors. Now let me introduce my panelists. Starting at the far left, I have got the modern Renaissance man, Apollo.
Hello, mate. I'm happy to be your first panel.
Panelist.
Oh, panelist.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad.
I like to think of myself as a plank of wood on this panel.
We'll get going. He'll get better as we go along. Next to him, we've got our intrepid globetrotter, Moonglade.
G'day, g'day. Good to be here again.
Awesome. Good to have you back. And we've got our typical grumpy Frenchman, Todd. What?
The first thing you say to me in the show is that I'm grumpy.
Yeah, you are.
Do you really want the day to go on?
Just because your shirt's bright doesn't mean your personality is. We'll get the burns in early morning. Okay, so we're going to be bringing you some absolutely awesome action. We whittled it down from 64 players yesterday down to 16. This is the business end. This is the thick wedge of the tournament. And of course, this isn't just about today. This is about the DreamHack Tour. This is the 4th stop on it, where we got Stockholm coming up in a couple of weeks. But what we're going to do is we're going to show you a little video now, which is just going to tell you all about that tour and what it means in the bigger picture. So there you go. If that doesn't get you hyped, then you've got ice in your veins and not blood. And we've got some great games today. Stop laughing, Sean. We've got some great games for you today. But I think, first of all, guys, I think what we should do is probably take a look at the bracket before we talk about the specific games that we're going to have in the broadcast. So we'll bring that infographic up, and you can talk us through some of the picks that are going to happen over the course of the day. So there it is. Todd, let's start with just the top one, I think, because this is an interesting, it's an underdog versus a Korean, which is always good to talk about. Your boyfriend, Adam Minus.
I was going to say, you're not going to say the same thing as in the rehearsal.
No, I'm going to use all the rehearsal jokes, actually, as it happens.
You saved them for the live, huh? Yeah, Adam Minus, I mentioned it yesterday. He's a guy who's been on the rise, and here he's going to have a true test in having to play versus Patience, who's pretty strong in PvP. Kind of sad I'm not casting that, but...
Yeah, well, did you just... Because I know you've championed him right from the start. Is there a chance he can make it past Patience?
Definitely, I think. I don't think Patience is somebody that he's a big underdog against, but obviously it's going to be difficult too.
Okay, well, we won't talk too much about YODA and MMA, because that is going to be our first broadcast game. One of the things that really stood out for me on that was the rise of Targa in the group stages yesterday, but the fact he's got to play Daisy, Moonglade, I think that's a winnable game for him, actually.
Absolutely. I think Targa has a great shot of getting pretty far in this bracket, and definitely a match that he can take against Daisy. Daisy, a very, very good player, very aggressive Protoss, to say the least, but Targa would know this for sure, and I'm sure he's very well prepared for it.
Next in the bracket, you can see we've got Snoop playing Live Zerg. We kind of toyed over the idea of maybe picking that game when we were doing our picks yesterday. And I was thinking, well, you know, there's no chance Snoop can lose to Live Zerg. But you guys were saying there's always a chance in ZVZ.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance there that Live Zerg can pick up a win. Zerg versus Zerg can be very volatile sometimes. A couple of mistakes and you're gone. And he's going to have to perform his best. He should win it, but there's a chance he doesn't.
Next up, we got Boom Boom versus Hyun. Hyun, of course, top of WCS. You know, doesn't really care too much about the WCS points. His place secure, but obviously hasn't qualified for DreamHack Winter yet.
Right.
Needs to make it into a Final Four here to guarantee that. And with so much prize money up for grabs, I'm sure he's going to want to cement that position today.
Yep, a very interesting match, Korean versus Korean. Bung Bung kind of dropped out of the scene in previous years, so it's interesting well, it'll be interesting to see where he's at. I think he could maybe take Hyun if he's in good form for sure. He used to be a very good Zerg player, so we'll have to wait and see what that result is gonna be. It could happen, but Hyun definitely the favorite.
Yeah, True Wellmoot, the next one in the bracket there, and Todd, obviously you know all about Protoss. Can Wellmoot overcome True?
Well, we showed good things in the past against Zerg in WCS and all that, but I mean, he's up against a True that hasn't lost the map yet in this tournament, and even though we haven't talked all that much about him, and we haven't seen any of his games actually so far, I think he's on a tear, and he's here to...
He's a favorite for the top.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely, to make it to the finals. Actually, this part of the bracket, like this very corner here with Hyun, Bung Bung, True, and Wellmoot, it's insanely stacked. Like if you think about it, these guys could have met in the finals if they weren't in the same bracket, and now they might have to play in the quarterfinals already. So massive matches here.
Definitely the harder half of the bracket. And on that note, you can see we've got Jack G and First, another game that we'll be broadcasting for you a little later on today. That's going to be our second game. Sean, I think this game, I think that's going to be a really good one, a really good series.
Yeah, it's a very important series for Jack G, who is within the top 16 within the WCS point system, but needs a good performance here to make sure he can maintain that top 16 rank. He's going up against First, a player who's very good overall. It's going to be a close game, but I would favor Jack G a little bit.
And finally, last but certainly not least, the local hero, Happy versus Freya. Interesting match, this one, because, I mean, we talked about how Happy has the capability to be that hometown hero. Freya, of course, returning back to the scene after a prolonged period out. How do we see that one going, Moonglide?
It's going to be a very, very interesting one, to say the least. I think Happy should be able to take it. He seems to be in much better form and still producing results in WCSCUs, so I'd give it to him, but I don't know, anything can happen in that match, I feel.
And, of course, first games of the day, people still warming up, people still getting in the mood.
That's it.
Are there likely to be any crazy upsets, do you think, or are we saving those for a little bit later?
At this stage of the tournament, anything's possible. Really is anything. At the early stages of a DreamHack Open, most of the results usually go the way you're expecting them to go because it's usually a favorite versus a non-favorite. But at this stage, the skill range between both players is actually kind of close. So depending on how they're feeling, what they're playing like, can actually matter a lot here, and we could see upsets.
Yeah, I actually think Bung Bung versus Hyun could be an upset. I feel it.
I'm feeling
it, man. I'm feeling.
That's interesting because you were a little bit underwhelmed by Bung Bung yesterday. And then, I don't know, is he grown on you?
Maybe. I mean, maybe watching Hyun's ZVZ kind of disappointed me a little bit yesterday. It was obviously a whole lot of mind games going into that match, so I can't take too much from it. But you know what? I think it'd be possible to Hyun to go down to him.
Okay, well, as you can see, loads of incredible games lined up for you today. We are going to bring in you that first one between YODA and MMA, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But just to shed some light on it, we're now going to throw over to Smix, who's live in Russia, and she's going to tell us about what she's going to be up to over the course of the day. Take it away, Smix.
Thank you very much, Richard. Of course, yes, I am Smix. I'm here live in the tournament area in Moscow on day 2 of DreamHack Open. And as Richard mentioned, we started with 64 players. We're down to 16. And what's really interesting to mention is that out of the 7 foreigners in those 16 players, 3 of them are some of the names that I mentioned earlier in the day when we began the broadcast, and Happy, LiveZerg, and Fryer. So what's really interesting is that one of those round of 16 matches will be Happy versus Fryer, which means we're guaranteed at least one of those guys in the top 8 show, which will be shown later at 2:15. But before we go starting talking about that, I'll just do like a quick rundown of the schedule that we have for today. We'll start with the two matches of the round of 16, which the expert panel mentioned would be MMA and YODA, as well as Jack G and First after that. Then following that, we'll have the top 8 show on that beautiful stage you see behind me with that huge screen, which is bound to be amazing because the Russian fans are incredible, super loud, super hyped, so it's going to be pretty amazing. And then after that, we'll wrap up the day with the grand finals, of course, and that will be broadcast at 8:30. Now, we have our project manager of DreamHack Open, Hellspawn, ready to share his thoughts on everything that's happened so far. So before we head into the questions, how are you doing today?
Really good. Yesterday was an awesome day. So many people showed up, and I could see that, like, standing around the tournament area, I couldn't almost get through. So, like, the interest was really huge. I think it was some really good games, some upsets. I didn't see that Brat OK wouldn't go through the first group stage. I know he's been retired for a long time, but he's still this legendary player. You could see the Russian fans really supported him, but he couldn't pull through. I also think that Elfie maybe deserved to go into the round of 16, but he had a really hard group. I think it was YODA in first who knocked him out. So some brutal games, of course, but overall, must have been great.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. And speaking of the Russian fans, they're quite interesting because after talking to a lot of them talk about this love for not just StarCraft, they call it cyber sports. And I just thought that was really interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, in the Russian community for all ages, I mean, it's been very strong and big, and they don't use the terminology esports, they use cyber sports. So that's like the old terminology they've been using, and I know, it's just amazing, and they are really happy to have such a big event here in Moscow in Russia because there haven't been many of them. Some of them mentioned Code 5, that was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I think this has been very good for the esports here in Russia and CIS.
Well, how do you, obviously this is the first time we're in Moscow. How does this event compare to, you've done so many DreamHack Opens now. How do they compare to the other ones that you've done?
I think that one part is that we are used on a very high level of the DreamHack events. It's always very professional, very easy, well run. But we also forget that the first events, both in Stockholm and Valencia and Bucharest, they were not perfect in all regards. And I think actually this is the best first event of any of our stops. So I'm really proud and I'm really happy. And I hope everybody here on site and also people at home have felt how nice atmosphere has been here and how exciting it's been.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Now, thank you so much, Hellspawn.
I want to say something about today's games, though.
Okay, yeah, of course.
First off, our MMA versus YODA. MMA actually practiced Zerg coming into this match, and YODA actually practiced versus Flash, I believe. So I don't think MMA will go with Zerg, but at least that's how he warms up. And I think that this first round of 16 match is most likely the brutal match of the tournament, because if you make it through, you go to the top 8 show, and that's when you becomes a star and you get all the audience support. If you go out, normally people don't really remember how great you did of a tournament, because reaching round of 16 and second day is extremely hard. But if you lose this game, it's so brutal. So this game is what matters.
Yeah, I agree. I see the MMA and YODA actually warming up right now. So speaking of that game, it's time to prepare for that to start. So let's hear our thoughts of our lovely expert panel over in Stockholm.
So, Hellspawn there, a little tip for you, brother. If an interview person's nodding like this, it means shut up, dude. Jesus. So we were going to talk a bit about the games. I don't know if we're going to have time to do that. So we had a great day yesterday. We had lots of comedy. But perhaps what was overlooked in all of the fun and frolics was some of the highlights from yesterday's game. So we actually compiled a quick video for maybe those of you who didn't get a chance to see it all. So here you go. We're going to show that to you now.
Queens move out of position, they will get surrounded here.
Despite losing all drones, these 13 roaches can still do it.
No, there is absolutely not. And from here, I mean, there's simply no coming back.
So So there you go, the early morning field train has pulled into the station, and it's been a great event in Moscow, well received by all the Russian fans. Now, unfortunately, thanks to Hellspawn, we're not going to have as much time to do some pre-game analysis, cheers, brother, about this YODA and MMA game. The players are actually waiting on us, so sorry, guys, after all of the notes and rehearsal stuff we did, it's all kind of gone the way of the dinosaur. It is extinct. So let's just go straight into predictions. My friend Todd, how do you see YODA MMA going?
MMA is going to win 2-0 after 2 Bill Older wins.
Ooh, very precise there.
Wow, okay. 2-1 for YODA for me.
Definitely MMA.
Okay, I got a feeling for YODA, actually. He's in form, but we'll see how that's going to go. So now we're going to bring you the game. It's going to be cast by Moonglade and Apollo. I'm not going to say don't go anywhere.
That's right.
I'm not going to say it because you take the mick out of me for saying it all the time.
What are you going to say then?
What does
Artasis is like, enjoy the game, guys.
Enjoy the game, guys. Should I say that? Is that better?
He passes it over.
Okay.
You got it. Well, so enjoy the game, guys, because I'm going to go play Hearthstone.
Well, yeah, I haven't got my laptop with me, otherwise I probably would. It may keep me a little bit alert. But so are we able to go to the game, guys?
Yes, we are, Richard.
Enjoy the game, guys. We're going to go now with Apollo and Moonglade.
Thank you, Richard. Here we are inside the game. See that? From desk to inside a game of StarCraft. Here we are for the first best of 3 of the day. Down here in the bottom right-hand side is the red Terran on King Sejong Station, playing for Team EIZO. It is MMA, who is on search for those WCS points. He's in the top 16. He's gained 125 already, but with a win here, he'd gain an extra 125. He's moved up from rank 20 to 19 so far in this tournament. But this guy, a player who is on fire currently, playing for Team TCM, it is YODA, who over the last 6 months has just shot to the top when it comes to his performances and his skill level. He's kind of recovering back to a former level. He used to be an Intel Extreme Masters world champion, have you know?
He did indeed, Apollo. And what does TCM mean, just for everyone out there? Because sometimes people say TSM, and I'm not sure why, but we need to clarify this.
Richard Lewis has been telling me all morning, Team Cooler Master.
Team Cooler Master. Interesting, interesting. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And he's done very well for himself in the last 2 tournaments he's been at, so I'm very curious to see how he's going to do today against MMA to start with. I think he has the potential to go pretty far, though. Yes. YODA used to be a kind of top-of-the-line player back in Incredible Miracle, for sure. He was a great up-and-coming player, up-and-coming Terran. Then he decided to make the switch. He kind of disappeared for a while, and now he's back. Yeah. And I think he's going to make a name for himself today. Yeah,
these players have played against each other a lot over the last month or so, the last 2 months. They've actually traded a lot of wins online, but the one big time they played, it was in the WCS Premier League. They played in the round of 32, and MMA did win 2-1, advancing in first place for himself.
Okay.
That was when YODA had to beat first his teammate to advance in second place. They both are in the round of 16 for WCS Premier League. Both have opportunities for points there as well, but both are in the round of 16, looking at a performance on the live stage, in the live show later this afternoon, and they both of them look gas first.
They did indeed. They did indeed, and this is something we've been seeing time and time again in TVT. It's the new meta. It's a very aggressive meta. Games end very, very quickly these days compared to the old days, that's for sure. And we'll have to wait and see.
Difference, Reaper to Marine.
So YODA definitely going to go for that more of a scout-oriented sort of style. You're going to try and find exactly what MMA is doing, and to his surprise, he's doing the exact same thing. It's going to be up to YODA to kind of react to what's going on, and if he's going to be the defender, is he going to be aggressive? And I mean, there is 2 really solid ways to get into the enemy base on this map, King Sejong Station. There's a back door, which I'm sure he's going to try for.
Yeah, he's definitely going to try and get some information from that Reaper, and then just try to kind of build towards a little bit of his opponent. May take the more defensive route here, may opt to get an early tank here, an early Raven. But MMA is not scouted. Neither of them are scouted. But he's chosen a single gas build, which is much more focused on mineral income. He's working on Marines, Widow Mines, and shortly a Medivac from that starport, and we'll look to get some early damage done. But YODA's going to move into the main base here from the back, as you said.
Yep, and it looks like he actually is going to get in. The Marines simply, oh no, wait. The Marines just get there in time and takes out the Reaper, so a great start for MMA.
And what does that really mean? I mean, what did he really get from that Reaper?
Well, he got to the starport. He saw the starport, and that 1 second he was on the high ground. So he's going to tell a lot about the style. He kind of knows exactly the kind of style that MMA is going to go for, but he doesn't know it's going to only be one gas. He doesn't know there's a Widow Mine on the map already. He's going to suspect the Medivac drop, but it's going to be up to YODA if he's going to defend against this or not.
Well, YODA currently has 4 Marines out, 5th being worked on, and a Viking on the way. MMA goes for a scout, and knows more than likely he is also playing against a gas-first build, having it being the most popular opening in Terran vs. Terran recently. Poking up there. Viking Raven coming out from YODA. So it's now down to, does MMA do damage? Can YODA defend? MMA is the player with the faster command center in all of this as well here, so he would, you know, drastically extend his lead if he was to do damage here.
That's right. If you can get that money sort of Widow Mine shot, Viking's going to make it kind of a lot harder for this Medivac to really maneuver around and do a lot of damage. And the Marines are kind of already in position for it as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But still, MMA has a little bit of room to plant that Widow Mine and potentially do a lot of damage to this SCV line.
There is a scan available on this command center, but MMA comes in. He's going to drop the Widow Mine in the back of the mineral line here. Marines start to get some damage done. And of course, with the Medivac here healing these Marines, it's not going to be easy to clean up here. And YODA taking a little bit of damage. He's pulled the SCVs back. The Raven has to come in for the auto turret here to help with this. Well, that's gone pretty fast here.
The Raven goes down from the Widow Mine, so a huge hit. And all the Marines are gone too, so it's down to SCVs and a Viking.
And not a good start here for YODA, losing SCV after SCV. MMA picks up with 4 Marines. And a good start here. Remember that Widow Mine is still there. It does get picked off eventually.
Has to use a scan for it though, so another great little victory there. And MMA in such a commanding lead straight from the start. A huge mistake hitting that Raven just a little too close to the Widow Mine.
And now a Hellion comes in just to add a bit of insult to injury. Another SCV goes down, but a great scout and a great scout there from MMA. He's got his second base down. He's got tank Marines coming out here. He's even added on his second barracks and Viking production. He's completely solidified himself back at home and has taken a 20 supply lead already.
Yeah, that actually could not have gone better in my opinion. Like, killing a Raven would be the last thing you'd think about when you're dropping like 6 Marines in a Widow Mine.
Yeah.
There's so many other targets, but he got rid of that. He got rid of the Marines, and he did a lot of SCV damage. And not only that, but he made him pull the SCVs for quite a number of times. So huge lead for MMA. It's going to be very, very hard for YODA to kind of find a way back into this.
Yeah, he's going to have to try to maybe work on a drop of his own here. He can't really just, play passively. If he does that, then MMA is just going to, he's mining more money. He's going to build a bigger army. So YODA needs to find some way back into it. But as you said, it's going to be quite difficult to do so. I don't actually know what is best for him to do.
Yeah, and I mean, MMA already still pushing the issue here. He knows he's ahead. He knows he's had this economy, like twice the economy for quite some time now. And he's got a decent-sized army to just move across the map and start the pressure again.
Yeah, I mean, he's got air control with 2 Vikings, 3 Vikings to 1. So he's going to be able to siege up outside his opponent's natural here quite easily.
Yeah, using the debris.
Yeah, and it's going to be almost impossible for YODA to deal with this if he doesn't have any air units. He's not going to be able to get close to these tanks. The Viking count heavily in favor of MMA. And I'm not too sure what YODA's going to do here. This could end the game.
Yeah, I mean, YODA's still in such a defensive position here, kind of hovering between his main and natural. It's going to give him kind of a bad reaction time for both sides, but it's all up to MMA and YODA to react to this. He can pull the SCVs as well. That's going to help out against these tanks. But is he in position enough for it? I think he might be.
And he is going to deal with this. I wonder if MMA needed to drop here in the main. I thought maybe the natural would have been a better choice, having the air control.
Yeah, I think stifling the natural sort of economy, setting out tanks below that debris, and just using the Medivac and Vikings to spot, that would have been probably the slower, less all-in way to kind of deal with it. But doing the drop in the main there, and YODA just waiting for it, shuts it down, kind of resets this game, resets the lead that MMA had.
Yeah, that's not ideal there from MMA, and he's actually given an opportunity back from YODA. So as much as we were thinking, what can YODA do to get back into it, it was more like, what can MMA do to...
What can MMA do wrong to let YODA back in? And I think he did the one thing that could happen.
Well, MMA, Moonglade has gone up to 5 barracks in total, off 2 bases, and when you see this, it is pure aggression.
Absolutely.
There is no real intention to ever take a 3rd base here. There's no intention to play the game out super long. He's just going to try and win this with superior numbers, find a position, whether it be dropping inside the main base again, but with much higher unit count. Whereas on the other side of things, I think YODA's actually kind of similarly set up, but he's only on 3 barracks currently.
Yeah, his production's just a little bit smaller for sure. So yeah, I mean, MMA still has a 10 supply lead, so he's still kind of ahead just a little bit. And we're going to have to wait to see if Yoda's going to put down more production. And here we go now.
4th and 5th. So they're actually going up to identical production setup here, but MMA is slightly faster with still the economy lead from the early part of this game. YODA has to be a little bit careful. Neither of them have really identified this, though. YODA's got zero vision inside MMA's base, and MMA doesn't know about the 4th and 5th barracks. They know about each other's army positioning, kind of. Well, at least MMA does.
Absolutely. And kind of bold for YODA just be coming out on the map like that, pushing up at least a little bit.
Especially when Stim's not done.
Yeah, very, very risky here. He cannot take a bad fight, and MMA on the map looking for that fight as well.
He's got a higher army supply, he's got Stim. He's also got +1 attack as well, so a couple of things in MMA's favor. If he catches this army,
things could change once again and be even more dire for YODA. And MMA in a perfect position to kind of deal with this push. And YODA's going to be deflected for now. Looks like he's going to go for a huge drop, though, which is actually a great idea considering he knows exactly where MMA's army is.
Oh, boy. MMA, will he spot this? He's got 2 Marines here who should see this. And he does. But how is his reactions here? He knows what's going on. He's going to have to try and get back into the main base immediately. There are 2 Vikings. And because boost was used so early, he will lose 1 medevac pretty fast. And SCVs are being pulled off to help deal with this. Can MMA clean it up?
I think he can clean it up, but he's going to take so much SCV damage for this. I don't know if it's actually going to be worth it. I think YODA's going to take a huge lead here, maybe.
Well, 10 SCVs down. Army supply is in favor of MMA. If MMA goes now...
Maybe that counterattack could seal the deal.
With the counterattack, he might be okay. But at the same time, YODA's picked up 60 Marines and is trying to drop around the top right-hand side now, knowing that MMA is more than likely just going to pull his entire army to go over for this kind of counterattack.
Yeah. Not as many SCVs went down as I thought might. So maybe just still a bit of an awkward situation there, losing a medevac from the get-go. But yeah, it's up to YODA to try and keep the pressure on, try and keep MMA away from his base until he's kind of remade that army.
Yeah, these 60 Marines that are going to get dropped in the main base are going to do a lot of damage. MMA is on the other side of the map. It really comes down to if YODA can do the damage. I mean, look at his army inside his main base. YODA's already expected to lose his second base.
Yeah, he's planned for it now.
He's like, oh, whatever, I'm actually just going to hold my main, and I'm going to do a lot of damage with these 60 Marines.
And here we go. He's going to try. He's going to jump into the main there. A lot of Marines could definitely take out the CC if there's simply nothing to stop them. He's going to get rid of the engineering bay from the start, stop those upgrades.
And that +1 armor cancelled.
He might actually, MMA might actually have enough to clean this up with using the SCVs. Have to wait and see.
A very big drop from MMA, but this is almost suicidal per se. On the other side of the map, he's loaded up everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, considering YODA's been waiting in the main.
YODA just moved down to the natural at the worst possible time.
Huge mistakes there. Such a critical time to be moving down the ramp, and now MMA is set up in such a perfect position in the main.
That was really unfortunate there by YODA. He was so close to just stimming up and killing everything inside the main, but now MMA's got this wonderful position here, and attacks are doing so much damage from MMA.
This is brutal, and this is game-ending damage. 120 supply to 58. There's no coming back from this one.
Yeah, especially because MMA's cleaned up everything that YODA has inside his main base, and it looks like MMA is going to take map number 1 here. GG is called. And Terran versus Terran, the aggressive new age matchup in recent times.
It's very exciting, but I do miss the slugfest that we used to have, and I used to go into the late game and get to BCs and all that. Nowadays, just so much aggression, especially with medevac drops. And no, but still, very, very nicely done from MMA, finding some critical damage early on, which I was actually surprised it did so much damage, to be honest.
Yeah, that gave him such a massive boost in the early game there. To be able to land those Marines, to get that Raven in there, or to pick off the Raven with the Widowmine, it was a great start for MMA. He started to give YODA a chance to get back into it, but at the end of the day, he was able to maintain an economy advantage, which helped him, set up the production better, set up his army size earlier, and from that position on was in a decent shape for the rest of the game there. But both players consistently dropping each other. But YODA, if he was in position a little bit there, a little bit more, that could have gone the complete other way.
Yeah, it could have for sure. If he actually caught that army out as they were dropping, I mean, he could have cleaned it up for sure, and it would have completely changed the outcome of that game, I think. But yeah, MMA had the space to set up tanks and just destroy absolutely everything.
All right, well, our second map here is going to be Foxtrot between these two players, and despite being in the round of 16 and in the single elimination part of the tournament, it is still just a best of 3 between these two players. So YODA is 1 map away from being eliminated from DreamHack Moscow now. MMA 1 game away from advancing, from getting more WCS points, the chance to play on stage in Russia in front of the Russian audience, and a chance to move deeper into the tournament. But when looking at the bracket originally, these two players were the players that stood out to be the ones to challenge Snoot if Snoot makes it to the semifinals, and then if, depending on how that results, even look at a final position as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely one of the, I feel like one of the closest games we are going to have in the round of 16 as well. Just these two players have been trading blows for in previous months, and still pretty even as well. And that was a very close game considering how much damage YODA took early on. So I think YODA still has what it takes to take on MMA, but we're going to have to wait and see.
All right, well, it's now or never for YODA. There's no second chances anymore. This is his second chance right here, right now, loading into this next map on Foxtrot. Which player will be the first to make it to the live show? If you are tuning in on this stream, remember, there are a lot of other games being played on our partner streams as well. You can find on twitch.tv the Snoot YODA game, which I'm sure a lot of you are interested in, is being played over there as well. And in terms of schedule and format, we'll be playing a second game from the round of 16 straight after this one. And then it's straight to the top 8, where we will play every single game. But right here, right now, it is time for map number 2 between YODA and MMA. Let's find out how this will go. As up here to the top left-hand side of Foxtrot Labs LE, also known as Ladder Edition. Playing for Team Acer as the Red Terran, it is MMA. A wonderful player when he's on form, fantastic to watch. His speed as a player, his ability to multitask, his ability to drive you insane, as he was once quoted saying, or drive you crazy, is more accurate description. And he goes up to a player who is slowly getting back to form. It is the blue Terran player to the bottom right-hand side. It is YODA from Team TCM, a recent addition. The first set of players, him and first, to join TCM in the StarCraft 2 scene.
That's right. Team Cooler Master.
That's right. Thanks, Richard Lewis, for telling us all about that earlier today.
Absolutely. And as you were saying, MMA, his multitasking and his drops is definitely what he's known for, more than anything else. He does so much great work, and he showed it last game for sure. He did some great work, doing critical damage early on with that one drop. 6 Marines and a Widow Mine, taking down a Raven, multiple SCVs, and every Marine. Not expecting that, but we'll have to wait and see if he's going to do the same this game. Well, judging from the meta, I have to say probably.
Yeah, it's quite likely the way that this matchup plays. It's if you try to play defensive against these aggressive openers, you usually end up losing a couple of SCVs no matter what, and then the aggressive players in the lead or at least equal every single time. So it's actually worth it to try to be aggressive yourself, which ends up in a lot of crazy scenarios if both players do end up being aggressive against each other, because then it's like one player dropping you, you're dropping him, and it becomes quite a crazy game. But here we have 2 different openers. We have the Reaper opening from MMA versus that fast gas from YODA. Yeah. And YODA's chosen to go for a Marine, not Reaper, with this opening instead of the previous game.
Yeah, so both players kind of switching up their roles, and MMA going to go for that scout early on. Interesting map, this map. Bit different, a lot more drop space as well, a lot bigger. So might actually see a longer game this time.
Yeah, we could see, and even mech potentially on this map. It's a very, it's not a massive map, but the way that the middle of the map is structured, there's so many ramps and so many small choke point areas that playing mech is very powerful on a map like this.
Absolutely, yeah. Great positioning on this map with all those ramps, and yeah, I got to say, as a Zerg player, not my favorite kind of map. I got to admit, this is another map that I veto all the time.
Ooh.
I am sorry to say.
It's okay. Everyone vetoes this map.
Pretty much. No surprise there. But for TVT, I mean, you can pretty much play on any map. There's no super disadvantage in a mirror match like this.
MMA does go in with the Reaper and sees that he is playing against a gas first here. And didn't spot the double gases, but he did see the setup with the factory barracks and starport. And didn't see the add-ons or tech lab, so actually doesn't know if this could be Banshee or whether it's just going to be the similar style to what he opened with previously.
Absolutely.
But he knows that something's coming his way and something that could disrupt his economy setup via this fast command center.
Yeah, something by air at the very, very least. So he will be ready for that. But I mean, at the same time, YODA was ready for that same sort of thing last game, but it still did some significant damage because he was just slightly out of position for it.
Well, MMA is only working off a single gas here, which means that if he is playing against Banshee play, which he is in this game, he's actually going to need an engineering bay down pretty fast for some form of detection here. He's got a Widow Mine and a Viking on the way, or should have a Viking on the way, but if he doesn't have the energy for scans, he's got to be very careful. He would take a lot of damage versus this Banshee play, but there is the engineering bay on time.
Very good timing for it, actually, and he should be able to get turrets up if that is his desire with this engineering bay.
And if he takes no damage here, Moonglade, he's so far ahead when it comes to the economy because his command center and orbital is done compared to it just starting here. YODA needs to do damage.
He has to do damage. There's simply no other way around it. If he doesn't get the damage done with this Banshee, then he is in such a bad position from the get-go.
Oh, look at this. MMA is actually choosing a Medivac here. If this works, not going for the Viking, not assisting the defense against a Banshee, but being able to drop a Widow Mine and Marines while defending with turrets, that's a beautiful move here if he can pull it off.
Yeah, that is actually huge, huge damage because, I mean, YODA's going to have even less to kind of deal with that sort of aggression this game than last.
And look at the turret timing. It's perfect. The turrets finish up as the Banshee arrives.
Even one in the main to kind of zone him out from the production as well. So beautiful positioning from every
And he's
turret.
already on the other side of the map with the Medivac.
He is on point today. MMA is playing so well. My prediction might have been wrong.
Oh, well, I'm actually happy to say that because mine was going to be right there. But YODA tries to get into the main base. He's looking for a kind of a blind spot away from the turret, and there is one on that left-hand side.
He still took a lot of damage in that Banshee, though. He's got to be careful because, I mean, only a couple Marines is going to be enough.
Vikings popped out inside the main while this drop is going on. So MMA clears up the Banshee, but at the same time is dropping inside the main base. And here we have a very similar scenario, and there really isn't much out there for YODA. What do we see? A couple of Marines and a Hellion?
And this Widow Mine is zoning out so much, he's just waiting for that money hit. He only gets one SCV, though, and has to get out of here. Saves 4 Marines, loses the Widow Mine as well. So cleaned up pretty nicely from YODA. Doesn't take too much.
It's funny, because despite the Banshee going down pretty fast, it did get a couple of kills. MMA got a couple of kills too, but it is YODA who has an SCV advantage here.
Yeah, funny that. Considering how behind his second CC was, still found enough damage with that Banshee and deflected anything MMA could do.
Well, MMA comes in again, and that SCV advantage may disappear. Now 2 SCVs do get picked off, and now MMA does take the economy advantage here in this game, and is actually set up pretty... when you go for a gas first, your next stage, the next phase of your setup is actually delayed. Like, look at the stim. It is quite slow here. MMA is working on a 3rd command center really early as well, so he's played a little bit greedy with this too, and is going to rely on tank, marine, Viking, turret defense.
Right.
So his longevity in this game is just set up much better, as long as stuff like this doesn't...
As long as this drop doesn't get in.
But that's what he's meant to be prepared for, so...
Yeah, he does have a good Viking in position, and he might actually just run into these minivacs. Have to wait and see.
But currently, MMA cannot let this drop get in. He really doesn't have any units.
Absolutely not. He cannot afford... If these tanks get in a good position, get sieged up before any SCVs are pulled or anything like that, these Marines get in front, then critical damage could happen as well.
Well, the turret and Vikings are in great position here, so 1 medivac goes down quite easy. 2 tanks do get in. Both medivacs are gone, so there's no actual support to this. But the tanks have deployed, they are sieged up.
Oh, but this Banshee as well is doing so much damage just on the left there, getting rid of that tank. And actually, YODA in a great position here, and this Banshee's kind of in a great place to stop any sort of production coming out and helping.
Yeah, this doesn't look too good for MMA, and he gets caught with his pants down a little bit here with this 3rd command center, and he pops out a tank, but actually manages to save it with the medivac here. But how is he cleaning this up? This Banshee is Banshee's massive there.
GG, just like that. He found the small little angle to get in, set up above the natural, but right next to the production line as well. MMA simply couldn't do anything in that situation.
And YODA ties the game up. Going to game 3 here. Maybe you are going to be right, Moonblades.
Oh, boy. I did say 2-1. I did say 2-1 YODA.
If you're right.
If I'm right, I'm feeling good for today. It's going to be a great start to the day.
But MMA, I mean, when you're playing with that kind of style, you must not let these drops in. I think he had 3 or 4 Vikings,
Yeah.
but the drops still managed to get in, because if you actually deflect that type of drop there, because your opponent's so far behind with the infrastructure, aside from the units he has, you just, in the next couple of minutes of the game, you just take off.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he almost had everything on lockdown. It's just for that one little spot above his natural where his turret wasn't just out far enough, and he just didn't have enough units in position, no tanks in position for that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he even lost both medivacs as he was dropping his units, but he was still enough, with the help of that Banshee, to just shut everything down and put MMA in a checkmate position.
All right, well, are we going to see gas first builds by both of them coming into this next one?
Probably.
A map that actually pops up a lot in Terran versus Terran is Catalina, which could play out, super aggressive, hyper aggressive from both players again, and could actually be a very, very fast map for us. The next map's going to be merry-go-round, though. So similar kind of map for these two. Three-player map.
No, this would be great for kind of gas first as well.
It is the perfect map. Yeah, it's the perfect kind of aggressive map.
A lot of Hellion aggression on this map as well, considering how open it is, especially the natural and that third base. Eventually, you can definitely see.
And we do have a couple of updates coming if you are watching. I mean, when you watch StarCraft at home, I don't know about you. There's 2 ways I like to watch it. I either watch it on my computer, on the monitor, and then have Team Liquid open or the chat open and just kind of do both at the same time on multiple streams. Or it's the sit on the couch, put it on the big screen, and this is all I'm watching, just this stream.
Right.
And for people who are maybe doing that, just watching this stream, a couple of updates are coming in terms of other results. LiveZerg and Snoot is 1 apiece.
That's crazy.
Which we thought could happen.
It could happen. Anything can happen in a ZVZ. As you were saying, it is very volatile. And this could be a huge upset if Snoot was to go down to LiveZerg in the round of 16.
And Patience is at 1-0, unfortunately for Todd there. That Adonymous is not going to be able to start that series well. And then immediately, another result comes in straight away.
Nice.
Funny enough, is a 2-1 victory for Snoot.
Snoot is safe.
So it looks like that was a very fast third game there. It was a 30-second game. So Snoot makes it to the round of 8. And that's obviously a fantastic win for him. And I'm sure there's the other game going on. There's the Targa Daisy game going on at the moment.
Yeah,
which I'm sure is going to be a good one to watch.
That would be actually a great game to watch. I'm definitely after this going to go back and see if it's still going on.
All right, but we are loading into game number 3 now. Which player is going to go up against what it seems to be Patience in the next round live in the DreamHack show this afternoon? Where all the lasers and the light. Well, actually, there's no lasers. I always say lasers, but there's never any lasers.
I don't think there's ever been lasers. It just sounds
better. It's just lasers and lights.
Yeah, it does sound cool.
There's never lasers, but there's going to be lights and music and maybe some bangers.
Yeah, there's plenty of them, especially in Korea.
Thundersticks.
Thundersticks, yeah.
Usually those at DreamHack fans. Anyway, shut up, Sean. Game 3's ready. Let's jump in to find out which player is going to move on to the quarterfinals here at DreamHack Open from Moscow. Is it YODA or MMA? Let's jump in and find out. Up here to the top right-hand side of merry-go-round. It is the Team EIZO Terran MMA. With his hopes and dreams for BlizzCon again. He's played there twice now. It would be his 3rd time playing.
That's pretty impressive in itself, actually.
And then we have his opponent, who is the blue Terran player playing for Team TCM, living in Germany. Dusseldorf, to be exact.
Dusseldorf, okay.
Dusseldorf. It is YODA.
Winning that last game quite convincingly, finding a really great way in with his medivac drop. 2 siege tanks, 8 marines, 2 medivacs, as well as the support of a Banshee. Finding that win, and in such a unexpected sort of situation. I was kind of caught off guard, like the game ended so quickly in such a dramatic fashion.
The way that it ended, Moonglade, the hole that he hit was like watching The Matrix when that girl, I forgot her name, jumps through the window and does the spinning back thing and like goes through the window.
Yeah, I know it. I forget her name as well, actually.
Oh, God. Trinity.
Trinity, that's it. Yeah, I was going to say it starts with T.
Yeah, Trinity at the start of Matrix, and she jumps across and through that window. Man, that was like the window there that YODA hit.
He did. That's exactly it. He found that one little spot to get away. Through the window, down the stairs. That's right.
Gas first openers from both.
No surprise there, considering this map. I mean, this map is so much aggression on this map. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how their gas first is going to open up, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more Hellions on this map for sure. Hellions would do a lot of work on this map. Very, very open map, but at the same time, I mean, we've seen all sorts of...
one of these takes a natural defensive setup? Because you can play defensive from gas first still.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think one of them just blindly goes defensive? If they were to play against a player who opened up, for extreme example's sake, command center first, he is so far behind.
Yeah.
But knowing that this is such an aggressive map, could you predict and maybe just go for it anyway? Or is that too risky?
This might be a little too risky. It's hard to say. I mean, so far, both players have been so aggressive in their styles. And I don't know.
I mean, Yoda's opened up a Reaper, which indicates information.
He wants information for sure, but he can still be aggressive off this as well. But
well, I guess we'll find out shortly, because MMA's opened up exactly the same as he did in map number 1. And funny enough, so is Yoda.
Yeah.
With his Reaper opening, and then just with a second gas.
Into Banshee. Shutting down that scout very early on is MMA, but will Yoda try and find a way in?
Hopefully, should be able to get in with this Reaper. MMA.
Oh, but we already have a Widow Mine. A cheeky Widow Mine in position already to shut this down if Yoda dares.
Funny thing, where's this Reaper going?
I think he might have just been like, okay, there's already enough Marines in position to kind of shut me down if I try and jump up, so not worth the risk. And it looks like he might put him in position just to shut down anything MMA might send his way as well. And he finds that SCV that MMA was scouting with. So he will kind of shut it down before...
He doesn't even know if this is a command center here. It could be Reaper expansion for all he knows.
For all he knows.
If you think about it, with Yoda coming back there, kind of messes up the timing of when that Reaper could have popped out to have moved across the map.
Yeah.
It could look like a regular 12 barracks Reaper here.
Absolutely.
Doesn't really know where his opponent is, what's going on.
Yep. Great, shutting down a lot of information. But MMA at the same time has also shut down a lot of information. But we're going to see that same style that MMA made work so well in Game 1 with the 6 Marine, 1 Widow Mine, Medivac drop.
And it's exactly the same setup. It's Marine Raven here.
Yeah.
So this could end the same way, depending on how much damage this does.
Granted, there is a Viking in a much better position, and the Marines are in a much better position, which is the one kind of way that MMA made it work so well.
All right, here we go. MMA's going to kind of turn around. Just pulling back a little bit. Didn't want to drop on top of these Marines. Widow Mine is down. Viking is around. And he's taking a fight here. So far, so good for Yoda.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, right now, there's 2 Marines coming out at a time. There's the Raven out. There's no SCVs have gone down. A much better defense.
Yeah, and he's looking, much, much better at this point. Oh, and they get the Widow Mine as well, so MMA is just simply not going to have enough here. And he might escape with the Medivac, but no damage done whatsoever. So Yoda looking much stronger this game as well.
Yeah, that was a very good defense there from Yoda. And unfortunately for MMA, no damage done, but he's already up to 3 barracks here, or just starting with his 3 barracks, should I say, going or heading towards 3 barracks. Command center is done. MMA has found the Reaper and gets it.
Gets the Reaper. Nicely done there. Nice little victory after a failed drop. And Yoda's CC not too far behind as well. So I feel like he's in a great position here, and he can follow up with some great aggression as well, making tanks now with these Marines as well as a Raven. There's a lot of potential here for some great damage.
Yeah, he's starting to add on another Medivac here, so he could try to move out shortly. Has a quick scan inside MMA's base to have a look what's up. So he sees the command center flying down, sees those 3 barracks, and sees the switch up with the starport, which we're obviously going to see a barracks placed on that tech lab so he can get Stim into the game. But is that really a sign where he can try to get damage done? I don't really think so, because that's MMA doesn't really have that much of a different setup. He's very similar when it comes to the army, aside from the Raven. That's true. I would imagine it's going to be kind of hard to exploit that.
Raven, we have seen before, the Raven dropping that the auto turrets can tank a lot of damage and can really set up a great position from these drops, especially like these two tanks, 8 Marines, as well as a Raven. We have seen that before, where the Terrans would just drop each other and whoever gets a better position wins. I believe it was, I'm going to say it was like Taser and Flash or something like that. It was a TVT I watched recently where they just pretty much did that to each other. It might have even been Bunny, actually. Bunny and Taser. And,
well, MMA controls his Alnoga Tower and actually has Marines everywhere. Does not want to get dropped somewhere that he doesn't expect it to happen. And he sees these units push through the middle of the map, and he actually moves out to greet this. Feeling confident with his army size here. He's sieged up, doesn't want to allow his opponent to take position underneath his main base or something along those lines.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Just coming out to meet him. So Yoda not going to be able to find a way to drop in, but he also knows exactly where MMA's army is, so he can pick up, boost in, and he is. So he could look for that great positioning here, considering where MMA's army is, but it's all about... And MMA knows exactly what Yoda's thinking, and he's like, yeah, I would do the same, so I'm going to shut this down now.
Chasing this home.
Yeah.
And MMA could be aggressive himself here. Yoda's got to be very, very careful. He drops tanks and turns around sieges, whilst MMA sieges. Very tense little movement here from both players. This is everything that they've got right now, so if one of them was to lose this army, the game would pretty much just end.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be very, very careful here.
Stim is going to be done soon for MMA. Only 30 seconds.
MMA going to take a huge engagement here, though. Tank's already sieged. It's going to be very, very hard, though. I think Yoda simply has more on the map at the moment.
But these siege tanks doing a lot of damage at the back there for MMA.
Wow.
A lot of damage.
Whoa,
and
that
a
was
20 supply deficit already, just instantly.
I kind of question Yoda's decision-making of that. Like, he knew he was running into siege tanks under a tower, and he's like...
This is MMA's opportunity, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think from here, MMA could just do a doom drop and essentially win.
Yeah, I mean, he's got stim now, and there's an opportunity here before the stim of his opponent's done. This is a very tense moment here for Yoda. He's got everything sieged up on his natural. The main base is so weak right now. Turrets have been added on, but if MMA was to go that way, he doesn't really know where his opponent's army is, though, so we can clearly see that the weak point is going to be in the main base. He scans and sees the setup on the natural. Where is MMA going? He's got a third medivac now.
Looks like he might be
behind
looking...
the natural?
I guess so. What an interesting place to do it, but I guess it's the last place that Yoda would expect this.
And one tank to support from outside of the second base area, and the siege is committed to here by MMA. Remember, he's still got stim. His opponent's going to have it in 5 or so seconds time, but surely SCVs are going to have to be used to help here.
I think they have to, because it's simply a do or die at this point, and I mean, Yoda's getting picked apart, and there's GG. MMA with a beautiful position there to finish the game off. But,
wow.
Oh, man. A huge mistake from Yoda in the middle there, just running into siege tanks and not even pulling back, just committing to a fight that he just couldn't win.
MMA goes to the quarterfinals here. He gains those extra WCS points, as we saw him just a couple of seconds ago. Talking with Jack G, going over to consolidate Yoda. But MMA makes it to the quarterfinals now, and already we are shaping up to have a very good set of quarterfinal games here.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, aggressive series from both sides there. Not quite the traditional Terran versus Terran we see, Moonglade.
No, not at all. Very, very interesting sort of styles there. A lot of gas first these days, though. And it definitely makes for a much more exciting TVTs.
Yeah, so MMA, they're getting closer and closer with those WCS points, and he's rising up the ranks here. Joined this tournament at rank 20, is now rank 19. Doesn't actually move up any more ranks with an extra 125 points in total from this tournament. He's gained 250. And also to remember, once you make the top 8, it's not just the WCS points. It's not just the chance to play live on stage in Russia. You gain $1,000, as much as that may seem or may not seem for these players.
Well, that's pretty nice.
It's nice.
It's a nice little boost there. You know?
Pocket change for some.
So, well, for casters, I guess.
For casters, I guess, Moonglade, it's pocket change.
Not at all.
And of course, the all-important quarterfinal game, whereas if you win, you can see yourself going to DreamHack Winter to play in the $75,000 end-of-year tournament, which, of course, a lot of money on the line, a lot of prestige to that tournament. But it is all about MMA going to BlizzCon one step at a time. A lot of tournaments still left for him, being in Premier League and DreamHack Stockholm. But if he does well at DreamHack Moscow, I'm sure the pressure would be relieved. But anyway, Sue is standing by with MMA. Let's hear some words.
Oh, okay. There we go. I hear myself now. Thank you very much, Apollo. I am here with MMA, and he is now advanced to the round of 8 and is our first player to do so on the mainstream. So congratulations, MMA. I'm sure you're very happy about that win, as many people were saying that this matchup was one of the harder matchups in the round of 16. Now, recently, I was looking at your results lately in TVT, and Gfinity, MSI qualifier, and even yesterday, you lost TVTs a lot. Is TVT something you're having trouble with, or what's happening there?
You are right. Recently, my TVT very not good. So yesterday, I talked with Axiom Young, Axiom Hurt, they helped me so much. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's. I know that you guys have been close for a very long time now, so that's great. Now, recently in the TVT, we've seen a lot of really aggressive play in the beginning, and we've also seen a lot of tank drops. So, what do you think of that meta right now?
I think TVT now very bad because only doom drop. So. Lucky game, I guess.
Lucky game. Now, you just played against YODA, and he's also a very, very good Korean player who's also playing in Europe. Now, because of that, I'm sure you guys have played each other many times. You know YODA's style very well. Was there a lot of mind games going on before every game?
I played burst cast so many, so I changed no burst cast. No clock bench, so 6 marine and 1 mine drop. That's success.
Now, WCS Region Log was just announced for 2015. Some Koreans are still debating on what they're going to do, but what are your plans for 2015? Just continue to stay in Europe?
I don't have any plan now, so I think next year, my last year for Pro Gamer Life, so I don't know yet.
Now, speaking of your last year, I know that similar to Hyun, you do have the army kind of coming closer that date. Because of that, are you like Hyun, where every tournament now, do you feel like you really need to do even better because there's not that much time left?
I always say to Hyun, hey, let's go army, but he's don't wanna go. So I think Hyun more play next year. Me don't know yet.
All right. Well, I know that there's a lot of MMA fans out there, so hopefully we do get to see more of you. But anyway, congratulations again on your round of 8. Guys, we're going to cut to a quick break, but we'll be back soon with more live action here from DreamHack Open Moscow.